Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 9 of Migrate Your Money. I'm your host, Drew Feutz, certified financial planner and founder of Migration Wealth Management. We've all heard the stats about how most people give up on their New Year's resolutions before the end of January and how almost no one keeps them through the end of the year. It's really unfortunate that setting your goals that you won't achieve is the norm, but there's some simple solutions to setting goals that you'll actually stick with and achieve. Financial goals are some of the most common New Year's resolutions, which is awesome because setting financial goals and working towards achieving them is such an important step towards taking control of your finances and accomplishing your long-term goals. However, most people set very vague financial goals that focus on outputs like sticking to a budget, saving more, or paying down debt. These are 3 of the most common financial resolutions that people set. And while these goals are important, they're too broad, they lack specific targets to work towards, and they fail to focus on the inputs that are going to lead to achieving the results. The key is to be more specific and to set implementation intentions that will help you follow through on reaching those goals. So let's dive in. On the morning of the day that I started writing this blog post and podcast, I saw a tweet from James Clear, who's the author of Atomic Habits, that I felt really demonstrated this point really well. Here's what it said. The edge is in the inputs. The person who consumes from better resources gets better thoughts. The person who asks better questions gets better answers. The person who builds better habits gets better results. It's not the outcomes, it's in the inputs. I might as well just read the book Atomic Habits for you because it's shaped a lot about how I think about setting and achieving goals. And I've read it multiple times since the first time that I read it in January 2020. And I feel like I find something new that sticks with me every time whenever I read the book or when I hear James Clear speak. Instead of setting vague financial goals, we need to consider setting more impactful input goals that focus on building habits that will help you achieve your financial objectives. So here are some common examples of New Year's resolutions that people set and of better input goals that you can set for 2023 to help you be more successful. Number 1, instead of sticking to a budget, set a goal to track and review your spending weekly. The idea of sticking to a budget and what it could help you accomplish is great, but setting a goal sticking to a budget won't get you anywhere. If that's your goal, then you're never going to achieve it, frankly. It's just way too vague and it doesn't mean anything. What even is your budget? How will you know if you're sticking to it? When and how will you check on your progress? You need an action plan, an input goal, implementation intention, or whatever else you prefer to call it. You need that in place in order to accomplish what you're going for here by saying that you want to stick to a budget. Your input goal should look something like this. I will do behavior at time in location. An example of making sticking to a budget into a better goal might sound like this. I'll track and review my expenses in Mint at 9 a.m. on Saturday morning with a cup of coffee at the kitchen table. Notice how specific and how precise my example is compared to just sticking to a budget. Also notice how it focuses on the input of tracking and reviewing expenses rather than an outcome of sticking to a budget. If you track and review your expenses weekly, then it's going to be much more easier and more likely that you'll stick to the budget. And if you track and review your spending weekly, then it shouldn't take much time at all. Whereas if you push it off more infrequently, say I'll do it every 2 weeks, I'll do it every month, whatever it is, it's going to take much more time to do, and it's going to be a much more daunting task once the time comes to do it, which is going to lead you to continue to push it off and just never do it. Having a great spending plan in place is going to be the key to improving your finances because this is kind of the backbone, the foundation, whatever you want to call it, of your personal finances. And of course, that means that you'll probably want to have some spending and budgeting tracking system in place to help make things as easy as possible for you. So in my example, I mentioned Mint. Aggregator tools like Mint or Tiller that pull in all of your transactions from wherever you spend, whether it's your debit card or your credit card, pull all those transactions into one place. They go a really long way in breaking down barriers to achieving this goal of setting your budget, of making sure that you're staying on track, of helping you actually achieve what you want to in 2023. As James Clear writes in Atomic Habits, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your goal is your desired outcome. Your system is a collection of daily habits that get you there. So the goal, we talked about how to make it more specific. We talked about how to make it easier. That's kind of the system in place that you're creating to help you make this habit that's going to help you actually achieve that goal. Okay, number 2, instead of paying down debt, set a goal to pay a specific amount towards your loan every time you're paid. I've written this before. I'll say it again right here. Setting the goal of paying down debt is a losing strategy. An input goal and a system need to be in place to help you ensure that you're actually going to accomplish what you want to achieve by paying down debt. We just talked about this just one second ago. Do you know the specifics of all the debts that you have? The balances, the interest rates, the term lengths, the minimum payments. If you don't know those are the most basic things that you have to figure out. So you got to get organized. You got to figure out all this information. From there, once you know all the details about all your debts, it's time to come up with a plan for tackling that debt. Do you prefer the debt avalanche method, which is paying off the highest interest rate loans first and then working your way down from higher interest rate to lower interest rate? Or do you prefer the debt snowball method, which is paying off the smallest balance loans first? So pay off the smallest balance, then move to the next one, pay that off, move to the next one, pay that off. Or do you prefer some combination of both of them? These are things that we got to think through, that we have to work through, that are just more in depth than just saying, I want to pay off debt. An input goal that's better than just paying down debt would be to back into how much you need to pay to reach a specific payoff date for the debt or debts that you're thinking about, to set up automatic payments each time you're paid towards the loans and that you're trying to pay off. Not only does this strategy help you get closer to reaching your goals, but it's more intentional, is working towards a specific payoff date, and automating your debt payments, like we talked about earlier with your budgeting, with your spending tracking. It'll lead you to be more likely to succeed. Okay, last but not least, number 3, instead of saving more, automate your savings to hit a specific target by the end of 2023. Saving more money is another one of the most common financial resolutions that people set. Again, great goal, but setting a goal of, I'm going to save more money in 2023 is setting yourself up for failure. How much do you want to save? What are you saving for? What accounts will you save it in? How much we save each time you get paid to reach that goal? You need a more specific savings goal. And again, you need a system in place to help you successfully reach that goal. I know I sound like a broken record here, but it really is that simple. We can't be so vague. We have to be more specific, more intentional. We have to get the details in place. That's going to help us stick to it. It's going to make it easier. Having a great budgeting and spending plan in place, like we mentioned in goal number 1, can really help you with this savings goal. So a more specific goal than saving more might sound something like this. I want to max out my Roth IRA by setting up automatic contributions to my Roth IRA account of $250 every time I'm paid. So in 2023, the maximum Roth IRA contribution for someone under age 50 is $6,500. If you're paid 26 times per year and you contribute $250 to your Roth IRA each time you're paid, then you'll max out that $6,500 by the end of the year. And yes, I did 26 because it made the nice round $250 each pay. In addition to setting a very specific goal like this, a few other keys to reaching your saving goal are to make your savings your number 1 priority and plan your budget after your savings have been allocated. So kind of skipping back to number 1 here, but this is the concept of pay yourself first. You save, and then what's ever left over, that's what you can spend. Making it as easy as possible by automating it. Again, make the savings go first, automate it, get it out of sight, out of mind. If it doesn't hit your bank account, then you're not going to be tempted to spend the money. And third here, in trying to help you reach the savings goal, trying to make it easier, is another concept from Atomic Habits called habit creep. So habit creep has two key components. The first key component of habit creep is to add to a habit slowly. Think of the concept of 1% better each day here. So adding into a habit slowly rather than just jumping in all at once. The second key component to habit creep is to change your environment in small ways that positively impact the likelihood of achieving your goal. And in this instance, I see automating savings or debt pay down or helping to automate tracking your spending as changing your environment, because it's just making it easier for you. It's kind of breaking down a barrier. It's making it more likely that you're going to follow through with those things. If you're currently saving 0% of your income for retirement, but your goal is to save 10% in 2023, then habit creep, like I just mentioned, would tell you to add slowly by increasing to your savings rate to 2%, just as an example. Could be 1, could be 3, whatever. But instead of going from 0 to 10, add slowly. Start with 2. Then you can see how that feels for a month or two and increase it by a couple percentage points more if you're comfortable doing so. So start now, 2%, evaluate at the end of the month, evaluate a month and a half in, 2 months in, say, oh, I think that I can increase it another 2%. Then you can kind of continue on that cycle, habit creep your way up towards 10% rather than just going out all at once. Over time, doing this is going to allow you to adjust your spending along the way, and it's not going to be as painful as just ripping off the Band-Aid, doing 10% out of your paycheck, not having that money available to you immediately. So those are the three main goals that I want to talk about today, about goals that people often set for financial resolutions and how to make them better. So just as a recap, number 1 was, instead of sticking to a budget, set a goal to track and review your spending weekly. Number 2 was, instead of paying down debt, set a goal to pay a specific amount towards your loan every time you're paid. Number 3, instead of saving more, automate your savings to hit that specific target by the end of 2023. And the value isn't in setting these goals or even in setting better goals like I've talked about, but the value is in actually taking action towards achieving these goals. Well, it's awesome to get crystal clear on what you want to accomplish and how you're going to go about doing it. It's really important that at some point you have to transition from talking about it to doing something about it. Luckily, that's in your control. You can start doing something about it at any time, whenever you want to. You can start making that progress. It's really easy to get caught up trying to think about the best strategy. You get stuck in your own head thinking about how big of a task it might be to accomplish, just depending on what type of goal you set. It's easy to get stuck in your own mind, but it's important to remember to not overwhelm yourself and to start small, to habit creep your way up, to build habits that are going to last. Small actions that are applied consistently and added to slowly, it's going to go a long way over time. If you try to do it all at once, it's probably a bigger likelihood that you're going to fail, that you're not going to achieve those goals. The whole reason that you set financial goals is to take control of your finances and to set yourself up for a better future and long-term financial success. You're not going to achieve that success that you're looking for without actually doing something, no matter how small, to move towards what you want to accomplish. So take the first step, make it as small as possible, make it bite-sized, whatever you need to do to get started. So I'm going to leave you with one final quote from Atomic Habits. Told you I might as well just read the book for you, but I think that this kind of sums up the last point, taking action. I think this sums it up pretty well. Again, this is from James Clear in his book Atomic Habits. If you haven't started, then taking action is more important than finding the best strategy. If you're already taking action, then ensuring you're working on the right thing is more important than working harder. So go out there, set better goals, find what you can do today, no matter how small, to take action towards reaching those goals in 2023. That's all I have for you today. If you want more help with reaching your financial goals in 2023, I run a fee-only wealth management firm called Migrate Wealth Management. I specialize in providing financial planning and investment management to people in their 30s and 40s. If you're interested in learning more, check out my website at migrationwealthmanagement.com. I've tried to make it really easy to learn more there. And if you're interested in scheduling a 1-hour intro and discovery meeting with me, then you can find a schedule free meeting button at the top of every page of the website that goes directly in my calendar. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be relied on as basis for investment decisions. None of the information provided in this podcast is intended as investment, tax, accounting, or legal advice.